How wrong was I? Conor Benn beats Adrian Granados on a 10-round unanimous decision. Let's talk about it. In the pre-fight video I did for this fight, I felt that Conor Benn would stop Adrian Granados early. I felt there was a potential it could go to points, but there wasn't much confidence behind that. I just felt that this fight would end and end early because I just couldn't take the image of Granados being stopped by Danny Garcia out of my head. He just looked like his punch resistance had completely gone, and I just felt that someone sudden and explosive like Conor Benn would be able to capitalize that, especially early when Granados wasn't fully warmed up. But that isn't what happened. So in the first round of the fight, Conor Benn came out looking to try and pressure Adrian Granados, and much to my surprise, Adrian Granados employed a lot of mobility. He was moving all around the ring, with a decent amount of agility. But in particular, he was dodging these wide swings from Conor Benn, but by inches. In some fights, you see a guy and he's really in the zone, and there'll be a punch coming towards him, and he'll just move his head. He won't move his body, but he'll turn away. He'll turn his face and dodge the punch. Adrian Granados did that so often, several times throughout the entire fight. Adrian Granados also did a good job of kind of stepping in with a jab and then following where that jab went. So if he's projecting the left side of his body forward and then peeling off and coming away. And whenever he'd do that, Benn just couldn't catch him with the right hand. I felt that Benn edged the rounds. The scorecards, I think, pretty much had nearly every round to Benn. I know one of them had 10-0 to Benn, and I can't argue with that. In my opinion, I gave Conor Benn every round too, but they weren't easy rounds. Benn had to think. He was in with someone who proved to be a lot more elusive than I think everyone, including Benn, expected. So yeah, Benn was just edging the rounds. It got to a point where Adrian Granados, he was moving for the early rounds, but he also did a good job of smothering Conor Benn. Conor Benn, as we know, is quite wide with some of his punches, and his setup isn't particularly intelligent. He will just rely on a jab, and then he'll load up on a shot, especially the right hand, which is quite looping at times. And that's just not enough for someone as experienced as Adrian Granados. Adrian Granados did get buzzed by a left hook at the end of the third round, but I think I underestimated Adrian Granados' punch resistance at this stage in his career, while maybe overestimating the punching power of Conor Benn. And fortunately it came at the end of the round for Granados, so he didn't have to ship too much punishment or endure that much of an onslaught from Conor Benn. But he was noticeably buzzed, I think. From there, the fight kind of fell into a pattern of sometimes Adrian Granados would employ a lot of mobility. Other times he'd kind of hold his feet and stand and trade with Conor Benn, but not in the kind of typical action-packed style. He was quite up close, trying to keep himself a moving target while in close quarters, which proved to be very effective because Conor Benn, he really had to work to get his shots off. And I think this is the perfect kind of fight that Conor Benn needs, because he's in with someone who's experienced enough and very wily enough. Because Granados, he showed a lot of guile. He proved to be very difficult to hit. He wasn't necessarily putting himself in prime position to counter Conor Benn though. He was going just a bit too far out of range, which makes him difficult to hit. But as I say, he can't then return as effectively. And so for Conor Benn, that provides an opportunity to practice certain things, certain setups against someone who he can kind of afford to. This is not a dangerous puncher in like a massive one-punch knockout artist. So who, if he counters you and counters your counter, let's say, that you're going to be in trouble. So this is the kind of fight that Conor Benn needs, especially if he hopes to really challenge the top dogs at welterweight. Because I think now we are starting to see Conor Benn dig his way into the top guys in the division, and he's going to need fights like this where more than anything he engages his brain and he he adds a few more wrinkles to his game, because his offense, it is explosive at times. You can tell that Conor Benn is a great athlete, very explosive. Balance leaves a bit to be desired, but I think that's more because he's so eager. But he is explosive, he is quick, quite agile. But we need to see a bit more experience. We need to see a bit more culture, and yeah, just a few more wrinkles to his game. And I think this is the perfect fight, as I say. He really had to try and pin Granados down on the ropes, get his leverage, maybe use some shoulder control, some head control, and not the prettiest stuff, and certainly not the most eye-catching punches. Those were kind of few and far between. So it wasn't the most entertaining fight, not the war that maybe we expected, but it's a way of Conor Benn developing and learning that not every opponent is just going to stand in front of you. So, yeah, not the most entertaining fight, but I think it was a good performance by both guys. A lot of people have criticised Granados for his lack of ambition. I can understand where they're coming from, because he really did try to just get away with the bare minimum in terms of offense, for particular rounds anyway. And I think, you know, someone who, because watch that Danny Garcia fight, he really took a shellacking. He got 7 bells knocked out of him in that Garcia fight. And so if now he's trying to play to his strengths, even though his strengths don't win him any rounds, you can kind of understand. But nevertheless, the right man won. As I say, the judges seem to have nearly all the rounds going to Benn, as did I. So I can't complain with that. And I think now it's certainly getting exciting to see who Benn gets matched with next, because he's beaten Granados quite convincingly. He didn't blow him away, but it was a firm decision victory for Benn, I'd say. Is he ready for the top guys? Certainly not. Not in my opinion. He needs to add those layers to his game and really start to just develop himself as a boxing mind. And I think the best way to do that is to obviously have fights like this, but also to explore other trainers. I've never been too high on the Tony Sims setup, and he can obviously get his fighters ready. But I think if you look at the way he does the pad works and the drills that he seems to employ, it's all very situational, in the fact that he doesn't seem to get his fighters or teach his fighters how to manipulate positioning, how to truly set up a shot, how to understand the subtleties in setting up your offense, and basically boxing as a science, as an art form as well. And so I think Conor Benn should maybe explore some other gyms, try some other trainers, some that can change his philosophy when it comes to boxing and help him get the most out of his assets, because he does have some good assets. I think he is a puncher, even though he didn't stop Granados. And I think he is an athlete. And if you consider the lack of experience that he had as an amateur, and he is still early in his pro career, this is someone who can learn quickly and can potentially get some things done. So that's pretty much it on the fight. As I say, is pretty standard affair. So let me know what you think in the comment section of this fight. Good fight, but not the war we expected. Let's see who Conor Benn takes on next. Like, share, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you on the next video.